I'm Patty Razor. My husband David and I have been married for 51 years. We have 4 children, 4 spouses, and 11 grandchildren. So we're in the 4th quarter of life, not in overtime yet. So we're enjoying life right now as an empty nester. And how about you?
My name is Alex Davis. We've been married for 7 years, together 17 years.
Huh.
We have 2 children, Harper and Harrison, and they are 2 years old and 6 months.
Ooh, busy lady.
Yes. So we're in the parenting season of life and active in all of that.
Awesome.
I'm Elizabeth Sizemore. My husband and I have been married for 5 years in May. We have 1 daughter and 1 daughter on the way. And we are just in that toddlerhood phase of parenting and life. We both work full time, so we're very busy, but we enjoy life and the season we're in.
That's awesome. Yes, that's awesome.
Did you say what gender it was?
It's another.
It's a girl.
Okay. I thought you said girl. Yeah, that's so exciting.
Yes, we're also doing the S. Well, how you have the H's, we're doing the S's.
Oh, that's fun.
Sailor and Sophie. So.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
We were tossing names back and forth forever, it seemed like, with girl names.
Yeah.
It was so easy because I knew forever that if it was a boy, it'd be Harrison, and then his first name's James, and that's like a generational name, so that was easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came to a girl, I was at a loss. And Taylor actually brought up Harper.
Oh,
So that's,
yeah, that's new.
her name.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, names are never easy. Been overanalyzed forever. But they, only give you about 9 months.
Yeah, to figure it out. To figure it out. Yeah.
Patty, how long have you been at Immanuel?
About 10 years. Yeah, after we came home from China, we landed at Immanuel.
That's good. Is it in Lexington? How many years?
35.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you came back home.
No, I'm from Ashland, and so we moved every 2 years until 90, and then we ended up here. This is headquarters for my husband, and so we've been here for 35. So we feel like it's home.
Yeah.
How about you?
We've been in Lexington, what would it be now? I'd say 12 years. I came down to go to UK college, and then Taylor went a year at Campbellsville, and then went to Eastern and finished up there. And we just fell in love with Lexington. Yeah. Our families are from Northern Kentucky, and then I'm originally from Owensboro.
Okay.
So it was nice halfway in
Sure.
families, and we just really loved it. And
That's awesome.
connected with the community, and then started going to Immanuel around 2020, actually.
Oh, okay.
So we had about 2 in-person services that we came to.
That was enough?
And then, then COVID shut it down.
Oh, okay.
So we were watching online and then came back in person later.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, and we just really loved it. It was like, this is
This is home. Yeah, feels good.
And you said you were lifelong.
Yes, I was in Immanuel since I was born. I hopped around in college because I was in Nashville and then came back here. But
Okay.
I've convinced my husband to join us at Immanuel, and we got married and been here ever since. Made our own great home group, and just really found our place in our adult lives here.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah.
that is amazing. I think that the church does such a good job with that and building that community around you, and that you're all seasons of life. You
Definitely.
You said something that made me think, how many members of your family are still at Immanuel?
Yeah, so my grandparents, they are 91, and they still attend Immanuel. They've been here since 1970, going to Immanuel. And then my mom also.
Cradle roll.
And so she's been here since 3rd grade. And then my dad, they actually met at Immanuel and have been here ever since. So yeah, a whole intergenerational church.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so lots of history, lots of time. I was here like 7 days a week growing up. So I was
No, I bet.
LCA and then upward sports on Saturday and church on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's definitely my home.
So when you look back, what are some defining moments that have shaped your journey together?
I wish so many.
Let's start, Alex.
After 17 years, we've really walked through almost all stages of life together because we met at 14 and 15.
Okay.
I would say the first one that comes to mind is losing our grandparents.
Yeah.
Connecting with that and seeing how each other would grieve.
Yeah.
And walking through that journey together. That really brought us closer and grew in our faith as well. And then I would say starting a business together out of college. We did that for about 6 and 7 years until I stayed home with Harrison. And that taught us so much. But it was really a privilege to, again, walk through that other season and figuring out our way through business. And lastly, I would say parenthood has been the most defining. It obviously changes you for the better. You're no longer about yourself and your spouse. It becomes this family unit, and everything you do is focused on your family and your children.
Yeah.
And just watching your spouse change, I think, is so beautiful too through that season. So yeah, definitely, I feel like we're living in the best days
Awesome.
right now, and so it's been a sweet season.
What you listen?
Wow. So Seth and I actually met right before COVID. So that actually sped up our relationship because we had so much free time. And it turns out that his parents lived 3 streets over from the house I lived in. So he just stayed with them and we got to know each other and ended up getting engaged in October and had just met in February, which sounds kind of crazy, but it really showed us how we met. There were so many opportunities for us to meet beforehand. We were at the same wedding together several years ago. We went to the same group fitness gym. We had so many almost meeting moments. And when we both think back, we probably weren't ready to meet each other yet.
Okay.
So we just felt like God's timing in our relationship could not be more perfect. And it was a long wait, but it was worth the wait. And so us just meeting and making a last second decision to go to a young adult group at a different church with one of my friends and meeting him that night. That was probably one of the most defining moments of our relationship. In our marriage, of course, our wedding day was a big one. And then the birth of our daughter, just really starting that new chapter of life together when we brought her home that day. Just learned so much about each other so quickly. And then as much as the big defining moments, the small moments have been really impactful for us too. One thing we've done since, honestly, the day we started dating is pray together every night before we go to sleep. If we're not together, we're on the phone. And it's just been one of those things that I never really had in any other kind of relationship. And has made our marriage truly special in that way, that we can connect with each other on that level every night. And have one thing at the end of the day, just to always keep us grounded.
That's awesome.
We've only been together 5 years, which seems pretty short compared to your alls. But there's definitely been those moments like that have
What us to find you. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I've got a little longer history to talk about. I think the most defining thing that we've experienced throughout our marriage is doing ministry together. And I think that's been the most positive thing that has come out of our marriage. It has grown us. It has given us a connection. It's given us lots to talk about and to be encouraged by. And we started, as soon as we got married, we started serving in different capacities, and it's changed throughout the year. But that's definitely been a defining moment, doing ministry together.
Yeah, it's very...
Okay, Ecclesiastes Ecclesiastes often talks about the seasons of life. Looking back, what season stands out most to you, and what did you learn in them?
Yes. So for me, my season that sticks out to me is post-college and walking through a season of singleness. Most of my good friends had gotten married already, and I wasn't. And so trying to figure out my place and who I was and get a job right after college, it was just a really time to get to know myself and figure out who I am without school in the picture and in the career world as well. It was definitely it just reminded me of my faith and trusting the Lord and his plan constantly, day in, day out. Just trusting that, hey, he has this plan for me and I just have to wait and see it, and just to enjoy the present and not be so focused on the future. That's probably one of the biggest lessons I learned in the moment. Found it.
Absolutely. Gosh, I think I would still have to say parenthood. And that was just such a change after, being together so young and having 17 years, or I guess it was 10 years no, I'm sorry. Let me rewind. I think it was maybe 15 years when we had Harrison. So having that time of just us, and then our focus went to him, and just, all of the things that come with parenthood. I think there can be a lot of worry involved, at least there was for me. And it started when I became pregnant with him, and just all of these fears started to bubble up. And I just remember, giving those over to the Lord, and him just saying, surrender. And do you trust me? I have this. And I do remember that day and surrendering all of those worries over to him.
Wow.
And the weight that came off after that. And from there on out, anytime that something came up, it was like, I'm in prayer, and I know, like, Lord, show me. And he would. Yeah. And he does every time, every day. So those moments are the most defined for me. And continues to transform me into a better person. Wow. And to someone who now, leads our children. Mm-hmm. And I see that in my husband as well.
That's awesome. So you learn from that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I know for myself and David, is our corporate transfers. We were transferred every 2 years. And we had young children during the time. And I always thought it was the company that was moving us every 2 years. But after about the third move, I could see that God had us in a certain place at a certain time for a certain reason. Sometimes I could see it right away. Sometimes I have to look back and see it. But it was such a reminder of how God is sovereign over everything, even corporations, that knew where we needed to be when we needed to be. So it was a really sweet understanding of how God works personally in each of our lives.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Okay, what's something you thought was really important when you were younger that you see differently now? So I know this one. When I was in high school, my mother made all my clothes, but my friends were able to get designer clothes, and the only designer clothes in high school were villager outfits, and I wanted them so bad, and it was so important to me, and I never got them. But now I could care less about that. And I'm finding that if it fits and if it's inexpensive and I like it, and I need it, then I'll get it. Otherwise, I could care less about that. So that's a huge shift. And I'm glad I've shifted from that, because that can kind of wear you out as you try to compare yourself.
Mm-hmm. For me, I would say something that I still struggle with, but don't see as important, is just having a plan. I'm very type A, very organized, need to know X, Y, Z. And as I've gotten older, I've been reminded time after time after time, my plan is not God's plan. And as soon as I can adjust my expectations to not having any and expect the unexpected, then it's much better the way that goes than just thinking I need to play for everything and then getting upset when it doesn't happen. So, so as I've gotten older, that's definitely been more clear, and it keeps happening. And I keep learning that lesson, but
I think
it's definitely less work to me overall.
that's all. I think it's a struggle we all have.
It is.
Yes.
I think actually
It's okay.
Really?
was so much that, I want everything to go a certain way because I know that's not how God works. It's I can't force it. And I've learned that, and I think that just comes with wisdom over time. Is that as much as we think we have control over something, we don't. And it's always going to be better to do things His way.
Absolutely.
And He has a better plan for us.
So how has your understanding of wisdom changed as you've grown older? I know, and as a young person, I thought of wisdom as knowledge, book learning. But as I've grown, I realized, no, wisdom comes from God's Word, the Holy Spirit prompting and explaining or opening your eyes to, and then life experiences. I think that's where, now I'm thinking where my wisdom comes from.
Yeah. For me, I always thought it was something only older people can have. And as I've gotten older, I've realized how important it is to be wise, especially early on in your adult life, with their finances, with your relationships, with any life circumstance you deal with. Those could impact you for the rest of your life. And making those wise decisions early on are just as important as making them as you get older.
Yeah, true.
I think it does come with, experiences and life. And then I think it's changed for me, like you said, knowledge. I always thought that to be wise, you had to study the most or the hardest and know the answer to everything. And now I think it's just relying on God for what you don't understand.
Yeah, very true.
And what you don't know. It's okay. I don't have to have all the answers to this. And it's better for me to rely on Him for those things as well. And He will show us.
So what practices or habits have helped you pursue wisdom over the years? Well, I'll say once I started a routine Bible study, and it wasn't until I was in my mid-30s I had the opportunity to be a part of Bible Study Fellowship. And I loved it because it was daily. It was disciplined Bible study, but it also had accountability with it. And that's where I really found my faith growing. It was a real pivotal point for me.
Yeah, I would still say, my prayer life and being intentional about it and being vulnerable and not having to come to God and be like perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like He wants us to be open and honest, and He already knows what we're facing. And I think beforehand what was different is that I thought I had to, be so precise and not just, be open and honest and laying that at His feet and saying, whatever the circumstances were. But just knowing that he's got it, and I think that's changed the most.
Yeah, I think, of course, prayer and reading my Bible, and also something that I really liked doing in college and in my young adult life was just reading on the topic. There's lots of great Christian authors out there that speak truth and wisdom into my life through those books. But another thing that was really important to me and really impactful in high school and college and in grad school. So in high school, I had a young life leader, Maggie, that was just alongside me and walking through life with me when I was being that stubborn teenager. And then in college and in grad school, two ladies out of Immanuel, actually. So Danielle Warren and Laura Brown were both really influential in my life.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, just meeting with them, walking through life with them. Those are always some moments I look back on thinking, wow, I'm really glad I did that.
Wow.
And the truth that they spoke into my life.
So Ecclesiastes says two are better than one. How is that truth played out in your marriage or in your relationships? I know for us, it's been the grieving process because with our years, we've been through parents' illnesses, parents' deaths, a child and a grandchild that has some pretty dramatic health issues, my ongoing health issues, and just having someone that can grieve with you or support you or encourage you or take up the slack for you has been wonderful. We grieve very differently, so we had to learn that early on, what each of us needs when we're grieving, but it's definitely better to go through things with two people than it is by yourself.
Yeah, I would say mine is similar to that. I historically have been very closed off, private person when grieving and when going through hard times. And being married has made me open up to that and let him in and walk through those hard days, hard seasons with me. And not having to do that alone anymore is just the best feeling.
It is.
To know you have someone always there for you.
Absolutely.
Still hard to let it hit sometimes, but just being with somebody that you can just be open and honest with.
Yeah.
Just know you're not alone.
Yeah.
In that way, of course, the Lord is always with you, but physically right there.
Right.
It's just one of those things that has been to us definitely better this one.
And I think it goes back to, always reminding each other that you're a team.
Oh, yeah.
On everything that you do. And so for us, I think what comes to mind most often is our business. And when we had our business, there would be things that come up all the time. And we relied on each other. If he was having a bad day, I was picking him up. If I was having a bad day, he was picking me up. And that was always two is better than one. Having each other's back no matter what. We, obviously made that commitment in marriage, but also in business is the strength behind having each other in everything that we do. And we understood each other at a greater level and had a greater appreciation for each other too.
Yeah. And I do think as your marriage goes on, you have to learn how to do that, to be able to open up, to be able to cry out and have that understanding. It just takes us a while to get the hang of that. So what role has your faith played in guiding your decisions and giving meaning in different seasons of life?
I think that it's guided, it's been the cornerstone, it's guided everything and every decision that we've made. And then there are other times that I can think where we kind of brushed into something without seeking God's wisdom. And it's never panned out.
Yeah, so true.
And it was slam door in the face. And most recently, I can think of a time that this happened and we thought we were moving. And after prayerful consideration into this, it was a no. Wow. And it was actually a move back to family. So we thought this was all the right reasons. Why wouldn't this work? And it was a no after a no after a no. And we got pretty far into the weeds with it. And I remember a specific phone call, and it was about a house. And, we prayed beforehand, God, if this is not your will,
Close the door.
close the door and make it so that there are no questions left. And sure enough, he did close that door.
Wow.
And we've had peace with it ever since.
Wow. That's neat. So how have you seen God's wisdom at work, even in times that felt confusing or difficult?
I think he's always molding us and shaping us, and he's always using it for his glory too. Even when it is, what is going on, I can't understand, God, but I'm trusting in you. Yeah.
Okay. Ours has to do with more of God's directions and guidance with our family, with our personal health issues. But when we were called to go to Asia, it was confusing and difficult for a lot of people to understand why we would do such a thing. But for us, it was so clear, and God's timing and in God's will. We had 2 married and 2 still in college, and it just was very evident that this was what we were supposed to do. So it's just guidance and direction, like you said.
Yeah. For me, I think my faith has brought me through some of the darkest days and seasons of my life, and especially something that I really rely on is through music and through Christian music, especially. With going through a hard transition this summer, even in work, one of the things that I just did every morning was just listen to the Psalm of Gratitude, and just to level set my day, to remind myself through whatever that day brings, that the Lord is with me, and I'm thankful for what I have in this life, no matter what I'm going through that day, especially in my job.
Wow.
That the Lord is with me, and that has been a common theme in my life. I've had a theme song through different seasons of this is the song that I can make up and listen to at any given moment and know and be brought back to that season of life.
Wow, that's cool. So if you could go back and give your younger selves advice, what would that advice be?
So many things I would tell younger self. I would say don't focus on the things of this world. And it will always be God and your family that are there for you, and the little things in life that truly mean the most. And it's not the things that, you can't take with you when you're gone.
True.
So don't focus on those things or what people say about you. Know what God says about you. And yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think I would say something similar along those lines, to not worry about the future. I was just, as I've said, I'm a planner, and naturally I'm always future thinking and forward thinking. And I would go back and tell myself to just enjoy the moment and be present with who you're with in that moment, in that season, and just trust that the Lord has it all worked out for you. Just trust in His plan. Don't question it.
It's hard, but yeah.
Yes.
For myself, this would be a parenting advice that I wish we had done and didn't do very much of, except through Young Life, was to give our children more opportunities to serve internationally, go on a mission trip, to serve within the community, with school, part-time jobs, and sports. Our excuse was they just don't have time. But if I could go back, we would make time.
Okay.
So what encouragement would you give to younger couples who are trying to build their lives with wisdom today?
I would say set your foundation on the Lord and the foundation of your marriage on the Lord, and grow together.
Oh, that's great.
And, nothing is more precious than, that prayer time together. And that starts to develop a deeper connection with each other.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for me, I'd say to both couples and singles that you have a church right in front of you that has many generations that would love to be in your life and would love to connect with you and invest in your life. And so don't be shy to reach out to those. And I know plenty of people that would connect you with others that are looking.
That's a great advice.
Younger people. And also, don't forget to invest in younger people than you.
Yeah, very true.
We have a great student ministry and ministry and preschool, and I know you can make a difference in their life as well.
I know for David and I, it's more accountability to our spouses before saying yes. And this is especially for me. I have a tendency to say yes to everything that has to do with ministry. And so kind of put the gauntlet down at one point and said, okay, we'll talk about it. Anything that comes up, we'll pray about it, and then we'll be in agreement whether we say yes, or you say yes, or we say no. And it has kept me from being over committed and really doing what God is calling me to do, not what somebody else wants me to do. So accountability.
Okay.
How do you hope the next generation will carry forward the lessons that you've learned?
I think for me, it would just be to always remember the Lord's plan is greater than your own. As simple as that. And to trust that He's got you, and even if you don't see it on this side of heaven, that just know one day you will see it, and it'll all make sense.
Sorry, I'm still trying to think.
Okay. Well, with all the craziness in our culture, I think so many people are being misled by what they think truth is. So I would want them to really examine what the world is saying and compare it to what God says, and make decisions based on that. But also want respect to teach that, manners. And then after being in another country, just thankfulness that we live in the country that we live in. I would hope that would be passed on to my children and grandchildren.
I would say studying and reading God's word so that you have that truth planted inside of you. The world does throw everything, so much misinformation out there, and just deceitfulness and lies. I would hope that they would be rooted in the truth of what God's word says, and that whenever those times come up and they think that they have questions, that those reminders would bubble back up first.
Sure.
And at the forefront.
Absolutely. Well, okay, so what do you think about the message of Ecclesiastes that life is fleeting, but God gives meaning? What stands out to you the most? And that's my word, stuff. In my younger days, with children and so forth and moves, stuff kind of was important, accumulating possessions, and nothing wrong with that, but if it becomes your priority. But as we've grown older, that stage of accumulating has kind of lost its luster. So we're purging, we're giving away, we're minimizing, and it does not hurt. And so I think that just goes back to what Solomon was saying, that those things are fleeting and they're not lasting.
Yeah. I'd say for me, it's a reminder to don't sweat the small stuff. At the end of every day, I'm reminded what's important. My sweet little family and the life that we're living, and their well-being and wealth needs are much more important than anything I'll deal with at work or any other things going on in our lives. We're just reminded every day that's something important.
Yes.
Yes, I think it's your relationship with Christ is at the center of it all, and that's what's meant the most to me. Just thinking ahead into the future. Now becoming a parent, you see how fast life is and how quickly it can go, and it makes you not want to waste a single second. And so I'm just so glad that I get to be at home with them and see them grow up. And I think everything that I do now is about showing them the love of Christ, and hopefully them seeing that and wanting to make him the center of their life too.
Most important job in the world.
It is.
Yeah. Wish I'd known you all 40 years ago. Giving me some of this wisdom.
I'm David Razor, and my wife Patty and I have been married for 51 years. I'm from Lexington originally, and she's from Ashland, and we met at Western Kentucky University, and we're at an interesting season of life right now with 11 grandchildren, so we're enjoying that part of our life.
I'm Taylor Davis. My wife Alex and I have been together since we were 14 and 15 years old. We joined Immanuel right before COVID tried to shut it all down, and the governor tried to say we couldn't go to church, but we went anyway. So we loved it, and we love Immanuel, and we got 2 beautiful children who we love bringing to church and doing life with.
All right.
Well, I'm Seth Sizemore. My wife and I have been married about 4.5 years. we're both from Lexington. We met in Lexington. She's been going to Immanuel for her whole life, and so I started going to Immanuel after we got married. So about 4.5 years for me. So we have a daughter. She's almost 2, and so we're in that very, very fun stage of life right now, raising a toddler. So.
I think the first defining moment for me personally was having my first child, or we having our first child, because I had never really even touched a baby. And Brian was born, and then we had 3 children after that. But that was really a defining moment, being a father. And now we have the blessing of 11 grandchildren, which is a whole new venture, and we're excited about that. But another thing would be is just Patty and I have always enjoyed doing ministry together, whether it was serving in a nursery or teaching Sunday school or being involved in Young Life. Just that has really been a wonderful part of our marriage.
I would say a defining moment for us also was when our first child was born. And I don't think we really understood what unconditional love means until you have that baby and you see that baby born. And I would also say it was a defining moment because it was very difficult. She hemorrhaged, and I was really scared and worried. And the most beautiful part of that experience, though, was when they told me I had to leave the room and then I go out in the hallway by myself. I never felt alone. I remember sitting in that floor, but I felt like I had just the warmest coat on or something like that. And I'm crying, I pour up over it, and I can hear the doctors running in and out and everything. But I never felt alone in that moment until they made me leave. When I was in there, I was frustrated and scared and mad. But when I had to go in that hallway, that was a defining moment because I just felt God's got us through this process. And the recovery and all that sort of stuff wasn't, that wasn't easy by any means, but it also brought us closer. There's nothing romantic about, postnatal care or postpartum care. Nothing romantic about it, but there's something special. And I think that was a defining moment for us is like that. It's like that, y'all are in it too. It's that we got type moment. It's just us and this little baby, this little gift from God. And, get better and take care of each other. And so that was defining moment.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and echo what you guys have said. Yeah, when we brought Sailor home, Elizabeth was, we get home and she's, feeling a lot of things and she's kind of having a difficult time. And I remember during that time feeling like, did I do something wrong? Like, how do I fix this? That kind of a deal. And it was when I recognized, like, oh, she just wants me to, like, kind of pick up after the house and kind of straighten some things. And just, like, it was just this moment of, like, man, I've got this, like, family now. I've got this little girl. Like, everything I do needs to be about them. Like, everything I do needs to be about, like, loving them, supporting them. Like, doesn't really matter what goes on outside these 4 walls now. It does. But this is the most important. This is the most important right here. Like, creating a kind of a, it's very sacred space inside this home and this family. So that was what kind of shifted that. I think before you have kids, it's not that you're being selfish, but you're both just kind of doing life together. And then once you have that first kid, it's just everything changes. Everything changes for the best. So,
Yeah.
Inside the founding moment for me. Yeah.
I think it's interesting how everything becomes super clear in terms of priorities. Like things that used to thought matter.
Good point.
Ball game on.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't care. I just want to do the most mundane thing.
Yeah.
With the baby, that's my wife, and enjoy this time. All the other stuff just kind of, flies away. But I think that's God's design.
Yeah.
No doubt. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, similar to that, I've always been a guy who really likes activity and not noise, but just stimulation, things like that. And after she was born, I kind of like you out in the hallway, I sat in some silence for a second, and I was like, this is amazing. And it was like kind of this sacred this recognition of like the mundane is now like really, really cool, right? That's just sitting with your family and kind of sitting in that quiet, whether it's holding Sailor when you're rocking her and just kind of appreciating that moment. Super cool.
Yeah. I think it's that appreciation that Like you never would think you would appreciate a chubby roll on a big fat old wing blade. And all of a sudden you see it for the first time, you're like, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's like it was sculpted by God, knitted together in the womb.
Yeah.
This is this gift for us to steward and take care of. It's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, good word. Well, our first 15 years of marriage, we were transferred 7 times. And we learned early on that if you're going to be in Rome, do as the Romans do. So you adapt the culture. You don't sit back. You get engaged. You get involved. You find a church. And you just accept the situation you're in and make the best of it. The other one was we were called to missions when we were in our early 50s. So we moved to a country that was closed to the gospel and taught English at a university, and it really taught us how blessed we are to live in a country that we have the freedom of worship, that we can come and go as we want and do the things that we want. It's a dark world out there, and I try to convey that sometimes to my children and my grandchildren that functionally we live in Disney World in America, and the rest of the world is very dark and very lost. And we learned early on that we are so blessed to be Americans and to have the freedoms that we have.
I think a big pivotal season of life is probably the one that we're in with young children, and definitely would appreciate your wisdom on this, because sometimes it feels like we're just running and gunning so much. We have 2 under 2 or had 2 under 2, and when we found out our daughter was on the way, we were just so scared. How are we going to take care of 2 at one time? We feel like we're barely getting by taking care of 1.
Yeah.
And in this season of life, it's very hectic, it's very fun, it's very exciting. But oftentimes we feel overwhelmed by trying to keep up with it all.
Yeah.
And not feel like we're not doing as good as we could be.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does feel like you're pouring from, a draining tank. So how do you advise or impress upon that wisdom to us on how to get through that or how to make the most of that?
Yeah. Well, just stay grounded in the Word. Teach your children the love of God. Read Bible stories to them. Pray with them. And they're going to be watching you. So you're going to have to walk the walk and not just talk the talk.
Yeah.
So that's what it really comes down to. You're going to be their role model. So live like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, obviously, right now, like you said, it's a pivotal moment for us too. I think what I'm really trying to figure out and try to do a good job of is not letting work take over.
Yeah.
Letting that be the priority. So yeah, any wisdom you have about that would be great, because I can feel the pull. I can feel the pull at my ego. I can feel the pull at ambition and all those things. I see it sucks people in, and they say I'm doing this for my family, but I just really want to be there, for my wife and my kids. I don't want to, like Ron said this last weekend, I think, throw one ball in the front yard. If you want to throw a ball with me, I want to be there. And I really am trying to cultivate those patterns and habits now.
Yeah.
It's not 10 years and I've already, drifted along into workaholism or whatever. So yeah, any advice in that area guarding against that would be cool.
Well, the key word I heard from you, Seth, was that there's the desire. And your heart's desire is to be the dad that God wants you to be. And I'm totally confident that's who you will be and are.
Thanks. I think that is a struggle in this season of life.
Yeah.
Because it's at a very important stage where it takes a lot of resources to provide for a child, which takes a lot of work, and so you're balancing how do I be present with these children, but also be as productive as I can be to provide the kind of life we want to provide. It's managing that balance that can be difficult.
It is. Well, I'm older than these guys, but it really was career. And I was caught up in it. I was in corporate America, Valvoline Oil Company, and a lot of my identity was my work. and there was a lot of competition, and you wanted to advance, and you wanted to excel, and you wanted to meet your goals, so because there was monetary achievement involved. So I had to work on that to keep my life balanced. And Patty and I went to a marriage enrichment conference early in our marriage, and I realized then that it was too much about me and not enough about her. So we really I started to take more interest in dating her and pursuing her like I did when I was younger. And it made a big difference that we would find a night that was our date night, and the kids could do their thing or have grandparents take care of them, but we found time for each other.
I would say when I was younger, I thought notoriety, achievement, and material things are super important.
Yeah.
And then when you get married, the next thing, I remember, in that shift going, well, I don't care who I impress as long as she's impressed and as long as she's proud of me. I don't care what anybody else thinks.
There you go.
My name on a list or a board or whatever. I just want her to be proud that, that we're productive and doing well as a family. And then especially when those little children came along, not a single material thing is impressive or desirable. It's just time with them is what becomes important.
You bet.
Yeah, I think for me, probably maybe validation or affirmation from people doing things that I wanted to be doing, seeking out mentors and just getting so much advice and so much information and wanting to, like, whoever I was with, whoever I was talking to, wanted to kind of impress upon them, like, I'm doing something worthwhile. And over time, I've learned that, like, if people are telling me something, giving me advice, I need to really take a look at their life and think, is this someone I want to emulate? And if not, I probably shouldn't listen to much of what they have to say. I mean, you just get so much advice and so much information from folks trying to help you. And I think at the end of the day, if you're not really careful about what you let in, you're just going to end up confused. I've ended up confused. So now I try to filter out a lot of the advice from others. Yeah. Especially people that I respect from a professional point of view or whatever. But if I look at their lifestyle and kind of how it's like, I should probably filter out what they're telling me.
Yeah.
There's context here.
Good word.
Yeah. So
Did you notice people in your career path who didn't have that pivotal moment where you realized how important it was to pursue your wife and not pursue the career as hard, but people who did go that route, at how different their life is and their relationship with their wife and children are compared to yours?
Yeah, because I was at a point where I was looking at the folks ahead of me and thinking, do I want to achieve a position in this organization and have their lifestyle? And I could see some of the major issues they were having in their marriage, alcoholism, drug addictions, all kinds of problems with their children. I thought, do I want to continue to give more to this? And it was a short answer.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Right.
Well, you look back at it and you think, I had a lot of folks in my life and business and sports that I thought were wise at the time, but it was more intellect. And it wasn't necessarily wisdom, but it was intellect. So the more mature I became in Christ and lined up what people were saying to me and what I was hearing to God's word, only then did I started to really decipher who was really wise. And if the things they were telling me lined up with God's word, then I would listen. But before that, I got caught up into the success of people and their intellect. One of the advices I would give is that to get a financial planner as soon as you possibly can in your marriage, because most marriage issues are based on finances.
Retweet.
And they just and develop a budget and live within the budget, and don't get consumed with buying things that you don't need. Develop a good financial discipline early in your marriage will save you a lot of heartache later in life.
Yeah. If I could talk to my younger self starting my career again, I would tell young Taylor Davis, never water yourself down to be accepted by your peers, because that will never bring them closer to Jesus, and that is you bearing your talent.
Yeah.
And you do not want to fit in with the world. We're specifically told that.
Yeah.
So don't fall into that, because I did, and I hate that period. And I hate the fact that I did it, but it felt like, well, you got to assimilate.
Yeah.
Or else you will be cast away, and all these opportunities will be taken away, and they just won't be made possible.
Yeah.
You'll be the weird guy talking about gospel at the dinner when everybody else is just hammered and just shot it for the day. I wish that I had taken that stronger willed route to stand firm in it, instead of trying to assimilate with the world around me and just blend in with the world around me. Because I can tell you, during that period, I can't think of a single person that a seed was planted. Now, a lot of success was had, but not a single seed was planted, which to me is a big fat loss, big fat L in the loss column.
Yeah.
And I would tell him, don't fall into that, and stay strong in it. Because when I made that shift and said, I can't live this way, it makes me feel sick to just assimilate and try to fit in and whatever else. The opportunities got bigger. The doors were opened because God made a way once I was faithful to it.
Yeah.
And it'd probably be further along if I had done it right from the start.
I would say, short and sweet, get off the phone. Put your phones down. Connect with people around you. Connect with your wife. I think technology is... I don't think we even know the half of what this stuff is going to do to us being on it, looking at our phone so much. And so I think when you're looking at your phone, you're missing what God has for you in that present moment. And you're missing the people in front of you, and you're missing opportunity after opportunity. Spread the gospel, to, love the people around you, and to really figure out what God's will is for you. So that would...
I think it would just be the material things.
Yeah.
I mean, the way it goes through all these things that Solomon had.
Yeah.
He had all the gold and the silver, the palaces, the gardens, the vineyards. I mean, it kind of makes me think of like Marie Antoinette. Like, they had it all until the head came off. Solomon had it all, but he didn't have his faith. He had lost sight of that. And I think that should impress upon us the wisdom of, well, instead of going that far and having it all and then realizing you really don't have anything, don't pursue that from the start. It's kind of like he went, this far and had all this stuff pile up and realized he didn't have anything. The thing that stood out the most to me was, we've talked a lot about career and providing, and then balancing that with spending time with children. But I was reading through it, and I read the verse that said, it tells, he's talking about, it's kind of like a parable. He's talking about a person who doesn't have a spouse, doesn't have a son, doesn't even have a brother. So what's he doing all this work for? When I read that, I thought, well, yeah, that is a good way of looking at it, because if you have those things, if you have a godly spouse and a godly marriage, and raising children that way, the work is that family circle. The work is not the business and the career and that sort of stuff. You've already won if you have those things, and that's the wisdom impressed upon us.
Yeah. I think too that the earth, this is not our home. This is our temporary home. We are aliens according to the Bible, and that we are to live our lives that this is not our home, but that heaven is our eternal home. That's something we look forward to. And that is also to be involved in ministry and to be intentional, know what your gifts are, know what your purpose and mission in life is, and don't be a spectator. Be involved, get engaged, because we are the Lord's worker bees while we're here. So be intentional in your walk with God in your ministry as well.
Yeah. I think I would say, to really, those moments with your family, just kind of marinate in that present moment to, just enjoy that, and not, my whole life I've struggled with really like, what's the next thing? What's going on next week? And kind of always, if you do that, you're never really where you're at. You're never really in the present moment. And so, and then before I know it, say there's going to be 18 and I would be like, yeah, I was just thinking about what I had going on the next day at work, or what did we have the next, like, what was the next plan? What was the next action item? And so to really just soak in those moments of time at home with family, creating those family memories.
Yep.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. You know, and some of the things too that our kids remember is when Daddy was silly. And we laughed a lot. Sometimes dads, because we're so involved in our business and our career, and the pressure is on us, that we just don't let our hair down and laugh and have fun and be silly with the kids. But they'll remember those moments as well.
That for sure.
Yeah, I think you just be content. And sometimes because we're so busy and so wrapped up in career and looking for those next steps, that we don't take a deep breath and slow down and smell the roses. And just no matter what our situation is, if we're not necessarily totally satisfied in our career and position where we think we should be so content, because life is a vapor and we're here for such a little while that we need to make every moment count for not only loving people, but also sharing the love of God with those who are out there that are hurting and are lost. And that's really our mission.
I would say, from a wisdom perspective, I would want to impress upon other people, younger people, older people, whoever's hearing this, to realize that your life and your walk with God is important because it reaches other people, and people are watching. People are watching you in the office to see how you react to something, how you handle slander, how you handle praise, how you handle the wins, how you handle the losses, and realize that, you know, we may sit here and go, you know, God's watching, but other lost people are watching, or other people who may be the vanilla, lukewarm Christians, and they don't realize, they're not convicted by it, but they may see greater faith in you and go, well, maybe I'm not full tilt because I see the way he is.
Yeah.
I see the way he treats his wife. I see the way he talks to his children. I see the way he leads his children. People are watching that, and so it means you need to step up your game and be prepared in your daily walk.
Good word.
People respond to character for sure. That's good. That's a really good point. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
I think just the last little bit to add. I think, you know, really trying to figure out what God's will is for your life, kind of in each and every moment, is a really, really important task. And so, getting people in your life that can help you figure out what that is, godly people, obviously reading scripture, having a community, but really trying to just pay attention to, like, and continually ask that question, what does God want me to do right now? So often I fall into the trap of I'm just kind of doing what I'm like, when I really take a look at it, I'm just doing what I want. I think I didn't really ask God what he wanted here. I'm just like going through the motion. And so the more that you can remind yourself, like, what is God's will? Even in this, like, moment, like right now, you know, super important. No.
The last thing I would say would be, especially for men, you all know this, for men, asking for help seems to be a weakness. I wish many years ago I would have been much more eager to pick up the phone and call Ron Edmondson or Jimmy Carter or my childhood pastor Sean Edwards and say, I'm struggling with this, because men culturally, we think if I have to ask for help, it means I'm not very equipped. I'm not very capable of solving these problems. And if I can't figure it out, then it means I'm a loser. And I think in the church, we have to do a better job of acting as if church is the hospital and not the place. It's not the main stage to come be seen and just show how perfect you are.
Yeah.
Church and the church family should be a hospital where especially young men can go and ask for help, can be vulnerable and say, I'm really struggling with this. Because it doesn't mean you're worse than anybody else. It actually means you're just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And in fact, you can get help through that by going to another, brother in the church. I wish I had done that younger.
Yeah, for sure.